is an emotional roller coaster. It is probably one of the hardest things you can do in life, if I'm honest, emotionally without the right kind of support. So, not having the right kind of support in the beginning was like absolute emotional warfare because I didn't know what I was doing. And I questioned my ability so many times. And this is just a moment in time. And that very much translates to the work that I'm doing with women, but also on the days where I'm like, I can be compassionate with myself and more gentle. And it doesn't have to be a constant grind. And I don't have to depend on willpower that doesn't really exist.
Thank you for tuning into Time for You Evolve for female entrepreneurs. Remember, you have what it takes to achieve greatness. Your time is now. You're here with me, you're ready to change lives, and you're ready to change the world. Isn't it time to skip over the confusion and start creating sustainable and consistent results? We're going to pull back the curtain and start giving meaning to life in this podcast. Time for You Evolved. Hey, my name is Lisa Carmichael, and I am obsessed with everything online. It's no secret, in this crowded and highly competitive business world, we need to stand out. It's even more important at a deeper level to stand up for ourselves. I am a farm girl who grew up shy with zero confidence. If someone had suggested that I would eventually start a podcast, I would never have believed it. As a farm kid, I had the unique opportunity to embrace a holistic approach to life. All the seasons of growth were lessons that have helped me and other female entrepreneurs find success when they've been stuck and struggling. The Time for You Evolve podcast is here to help you navigate business online so you can be laser focused and help you navigate the messy and the magical in every season of your business. Pull up a seat to hear the tried and true secrets that other female entrepreneurs like you are facing, and get ready for real talk while you learn. This is the Time for You Evolved podcast. Hey there, entrepreneurs, ready to work smarter, not harder? Then you're in for a treat. Let's talk about video marketing, the smart approach that attracts, retains, and converts faster than any other strategy out there. Hey, I get it. Video marketing can be daunting. You know, you should be doing it, but you're not quite ready to take that leap, or you're frustrated because you're not looking like a pro. Hey, I get it. Who can blame you? Creating videos can be frustrating, time-consuming, and downright intimidating. That's where Big View comes in. It's the solution for your frustration. With Big View, you can create professional videos with ease thanks to its teleprompter app. I've been using Big View for years. Did you know that? Big View is an app that has saved me a lot of time and hassle. The app makes it easy to create professional looking videos. It's an online teleprompter that allows the presenter to keep eye contact with the camera while reading the text they need to speak. Using a teleprompter app allows the reader to sound natural without cue cards or notes to fumble or looking down while you're speaking. And the best part is that Big View allows you to focus on your performance and delivery so your confidence shines through. You get to keep eye contact with the camera while you're reading your script. Whether you're a marketer, a blogger, a trainer, a freelancer, a publisher, or business owner, Big View is designed with you in mind. If you're ready to take your video marketing game to the next level, click on the Big View link on my website, lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. Join me and be the best presenter you can be and learn how to make great presentations. And that's lisarcarmichael.com/bigview.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Time for You Evolved. I am so excited you're here because today's guest is someone who is going to really open your eyes to something really important, our relationship with food. So we've all been there, right? The emotional pull, the constant back and forth, the guilt, the tug of war. Well, today I have the amazing Jessica Guerrero with us. She's a nurse, a health coach, and someone who has been through the ups and downs with food, just like many of us. But she's here to tell us how she found her freedom and how we can too. Jessica helps women break the cycle of binge eating and emotional struggles with food, and she's got some incredible insights for all of us. So, if you're ready to hear some real talk and feel inspired, you're in the right place. So, let's get into it. And first of all, Jessica, you've built an incredible business helping women find freedom with food. And I can't wait to dive into that because I love every conversation about food. But first, I'd love to know, how did you piece it all together to become an entrepreneur? Was there a strategy behind your journey or did it just fall into place?
Hmm, that's a fun question. I had absolutely no desire or interest in being an entrepreneur until I was in my master's program and thinking about re-entering the workforce for coaching and knowing that a lot of the companies that I was looking at were very productivity focused, which is really what my healthcare career had been, was a huge focus on productivity, making money for these businesses, which it was very unexpected for me coming from nursing. I got into nursing to help people. I didn't care about making money for anybody else, right? And I just had no interest in doing that for anyone else. I couldn't find what I wanted to do as a coach. And so I was like, I guess I'm going to have to build it. And I did, and I have, but it's been a journey for sure because they don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur in nursing school. And even in our master's program, we have very minimally talked about it. So it's been an interesting journey for sure.
When did you start your own business?
I started it in 2021 when I graduated from my master's program.
Okay. And so how did you figure it out? Like you built a website, you started blogging, you had to do some marketing, you branded yourself. Was it you hired it in or did you pull from within?
I tried to do a lot of it myself just by doing research. I paid for a couple of those well-named coaches that have a evergreen, do it yourself thing that we've all done in the entrepreneurial space. Some of it was great information, some of it probably wasn't very helpful. And just kind of hodgepodge, like paper mache my businesses together for the first year and a half until I found another coach who was very helpful in helping me dial in exactly what I needed to be doing as a marketing strategy.
Mhm. I love how you said that you paper mache it. That's such a beautiful analogy versus the cut and paste.
Yeah, it was
So,
just held together with a lot
yeah,
of different,
yeah.
a lot of different random things.
Hmm. So you have worked as a nurse for over 15 years, which must give you a unique perspective on the connection between health and emotional eating. And earlier I said the relationship that we have with food, but is it really the relationship with food or is it the relationship we have with ourselves when it comes to eating and that tug of war?
I mean, you just said it very well. It is really the relationship we have with ourselves, and that comes with an awareness of knowing our relationship with food, right? So most of our food stories are that true relationship that we've built, the habits that we've built are rooted in when we were growing up, when we were really becoming formed as a person. And so we can't really distinguish one from the other. For so many of us, our that relationship with food is so deeply rooted in who we are. And for those of you like myself who have been on a diet since you were 9 years old, and struggled with that weight and body image and really felt that tug of war and had a hard time with food and feeling good in your body. You can't undo that. That's years of thinking about giving energy to and trying to find the way, to feel better, to be skinny, to be something that something else that's not who you really are.
Do you believe that it is something that we could break free from eventually with coaching, or do you think it's just an ongoing thing?
It's absolutely something we can break free from, and it is still going to be deeply ingrained, right? Like it's a both and that you're going to have these moments come up, whether you're going to have the doubts or you're going to have the shame or you're going to have the I don't feel good in my body moments. That's never going to completely go away for anyone. I'm not going to lie about it. I don't think it ever does. I haven't met a person yet where it's 100% never a thought again. At the same time, with having new tools, having a different way to quickly reframe those thoughts, they're not going to last. They don't have a chance of taking root in your mind and staying and making you feel the way maybe you once had because you have a different way of looking at things now and a whole bunch of tools and support to help you.
What are some of those tools? What are the first steps or the mind shift changes or the mindset shifts that you would recommend for those that are feeling stuck?
Yeah. One of the core tenets of the program that I do with clients is working on that all or nothing thinking. Because for so many of us, we have that, I start on Monday, and if Monday's not perfect, okay, I just have to trash it. I ate a cookie at lunch and now I'm done. I'm off the rails. I'll start again next week, next month, whatever, when the new year is over, or when the new year comes, instead of, oh no, that cookie was fine and I'm fine and I can just continue on about my life. So we have to break the cycle of the all or nothing thinking. And there's also a lot of perfectionistic thinking that we have to address. And my clients also tend to be people pleasers. So those are the three kind of things that we address first before moving on to some of the other things. But mindset wise, those are like the core things that we're going to be working on.
And then how do you approach that conversation about food and then into health with your clients?
Well, the first thing that we cover in the very first session is the 3 F's of the Eating Freely program. And that is to feed yourself properly, number one. Forgive yourself quickly because we're going to make mistakes or mess up or eat something that we don't feel like we should. And to focus on health, not weight for now. So, right off the bat, we're taking the focus away from weight because so many of us, again, have strongly correlated health with weight, and we need to disentangle those two.
Yeah, I just realized that. I just realized that myself recently because I switched over to like the high protein
Mhm.
diet. I don't know of another way of saying it, lifestyle maybe. And the promise was you'll lose 10 pounds, and I've lost two. But I'm really at the best shape of my life. And it's your point of view of, do I feel better because I'm eating this way? I 100% do, 110%, 200% better than I've ever felt. So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And that's the magic right there. I just want to point that out. What you just said is that you notice that you feel better. And so it's so important for us to pay attention to how we feel in our bodies when we're eating, after we've eaten, and all of that, because sometimes those health foods feel terrible in our body. And so it's just, I appreciate that you said that.
So you're a certified eating friendly practitioner, which is a unique approach to emotional and binge eating. So
Mhm.
can you share a little bit more about this?
Yeah, the Eating Freely program was created by a therapist who has worked with people with disordered eating for a very long time. And she and a registered dietitian put together a program that is curated, has four pillars, which are using cognitive behavioral therapy tools, nutritional rehabilitation, mindfulness and self compassion, and the best part, which is really the neuroscience, diving into why our brain is the way that it is, why willpower doesn't work, and really getting into the nitty gritty of it's not you, it's your brain.
I love talking about neuroscience. So what is your favorite pillar?
I love the neuroscience. I mean, coming
Yeah.
from a medical background, learning all of it, I mean, it just lit me up. I was like, this makes so much sense. And as somebody who had kind of curated my own eating freely path, I didn't have this program when I was on my own kind of journey,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word, to finding food freedom. This was the part that I was like so validated when I was learning about it. And it was, fist pumps. And it just made me so excited.
Does this program make it easier for you in ways that you help your clients so that they can find food freedom? Or how did maybe
Absolutely.
that's maybe an obvious question. So maybe what are you seeing as they go through the program?
What I'm really seeing is that it's so much different than a diet program because, yes, we're talking about food, but we're also just talking so much about where the relationship with food started. We're untangling the past a little bit and bringing it really to the future of like, you have all of these beliefs, we know where they came from. Now, what do you want to believe now? What do you want to feel now? How can we really like update that programming so that you can move forward in a way you feel good about? But so much of it is we have to cultivate awareness of like, where did this come from? And how am I letting these behaviors that my mom or someone else in my life handed to me impact me right now without knowing it.
Right. I mean, I grew up cleaning my plate. I never cleaned my plate as a kid, and now I have this need to clean my plate.
Hmm.
And it must be like wastefulness or something. Or I just love every single bite and I don't want to miss out on something that tastes really good. Now, food comes with a lot of emotional baggage, what you were saying, like comfort and guilt, or maybe even stress. And as we're entering the holidays, is there a different mentality that goes on during the holidays? I know you said, like, what did you call it? Each day is a new day. Like, okay, I screwed up today. Maybe I'll fix it next year. How do you guide your clients through those emotional feelings that go along with celebrations? Sometimes it's just safer to be home because you know what you have control over.
Hmm. And I 100% want to validate what you just said of like, it can feel safer just to be home. And then we end up missing out on other parts of our life, right? That social aspect, because the social gatherings in general are so tied to food and alcohol, and they can be really triggering for people. The holidays, especially, can be huge triggers for people because number one, we're around people that sometimes have triggered us in different ways. Family is like the number one trigger. We really struggle with boundaries and different things when it comes to family, for better or for worse. And then you add food on top of it, and maybe you're shoving something in your mouth so you don't say something to your uncle that you don't want to regret. Or, we have been taught that food is love and we find comfort in food since we grew up. And that's maybe how your mom or family member shows love to the family is by making this incredible meal. And that feels so good to you, but then you end up overindulging. And so the way that I talk about it with my clients is number one, we have to cultivate the awareness of that that's a thing and that going to eat with family or going to a specific holiday meal or even a specific food is a trigger. And then we talk about the neuroscience is How can we bring our frontal lobe, which is like our human part of our brain, how can we make a conscious decision in those moments? So we have to find safety somewhere, and that creates the need for a plan. So we talk about like, how do we give ourselves permission to take space if we need it, or do something else in response? Try to create some space between what someone has said or what a certain interaction or place or person has made us feel and our response to it. So, how can we mindfully respond to it in a way that still feels good within us? And usually that's not through using food. But ultimately, also, if we end up overindulging on Thanksgiving dinner, which happens for so many, how can we, at the end of the day, treat ourselves kindly and not get sucked into a shame spiral where we're just piling on the guilt and, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I'm so stupid, or I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna lose the weight. I'm never gonna be loved. I'm there. It can become so many different things, because it's all kind of tied up together.
It is. It is. So, if food could talk, what do you think it would say to the women that you work with?
Ooh, I love that question. I'm just food. I'm not here to hurt you. I think
Ooh,
that's
yeah.
what it would say.
That's interesting. And then along with celebrations, and with your coaching program, what about alcohol? How does that tie in? I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing sobriety right now, and there's a lot of people that are drinking heavily. So how does alcohol and food tie together?
There's a very close relationship with alcohol and food, especially for people who struggle with emotional and binge eating. Because what can happen is if we start drinking just for fun and we have every intention of having one drink and, the little bit of food that we've ordered, if it starts to escalate into I have a second drink, then maybe I'm ordering more food. And especially with those with binge eating disorder, when they binge drink, they almost always end up binge eating. And binge drinking is like more, I think for women, it's more than two, is the technical term, which was
Mm,
surprised me when I found that out. But um, yeah, there's always a correlation with food, because if we drink, our inhibitions are lowered, and then we're way more likely to make decisions with food that we're not going to feel great about the next day.
yeah. I just feel alcohol, it does it just messes with our brain so much. And even just a conversation on its own without food, alcohol changes our personality, and it our decision making is different after a drink, after two drinks or more. So I get it. I understand what you're saying. And then what about caffeine? So people are addicted to caffeine these days. I
Mm.
I'm into this like holistic way of cooking, and I didn't do much research, but I was like, well, why can't I make my own caffeine? What's your perspective, or do you have any anything to say about caffeine and how much caffeine we're consuming?
I mean, I will say that caffeine is the most widely abused drug in the world, because it's very socially acceptable, right? Like we can all be drinking coffee lattes, all of those energy drinks. But what most people don't know is that caffeine is an appetite suppressant. So when we have that cup of coffee in the morning before we have breakfast, and then people are like, I'm not hungry. Sure, that's why. It's because you're having coffee. So people will intermittent fast. And I don't think there's anything wrong with intermittent fasting for some people. I don't think it's for everyone, but for some people, that's fine. But if you're waking up and the first thing that you're doing in the morning is drinking coffee, you're automatically suppressing your appetite. So most women that I work with have this understanding that they're not hungry, especially in the mornings. They're like, I don't need to eat breakfast. I'm like, okay, tell me about your morning. And then we find out that they're drinking 1 to 2 cups of coffee. And I'm like, okay, it's just an interesting experiment. Roll with me. Skip that cup of coffee for a day and see what happens. And 9 times out of 10, they're hungry. So it's just interesting that when we ditch the caffeine first thing, get in breakfast first, then we're really tuning into our body's hunger and fullness cues and meeting that need instead of suppressing that need with caffeine or some kind of stimulant.
That's really interesting. I think I always knew that, but now that you put it out there, it makes sense because sugar, on the other hand, is a stimulant, correct?
Yes, again, it gives you dopamine for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Because if I start eating sugar, I just get hungrier and hungrier.
Mhm. It keeps your
It,
blood sugar very unbalanced. So
yeah.
when we start our day with just that, we're like trying to build, I think about hunger as a fire. And so when we start the day with just a donut, for example, and again, nothing against donuts, I love them, but it's like dumping gas on the fire instead of building it up with like really good kindling and some logs and things like that. That's going to make it last longer. The donut's going to burn really hot and really bright and really fast. So we need to have a plan for sure. That's what I want this morning, great. Then I need to make sure I have a really satiating snack or something like that that has some protein, some complex carbs, some fat to it so that I can keep that blood sugar balanced for a longer period of time. Because to your point, when we eat sugar, we want more sugar because our blood sugars becomes unbalanced.
Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, me personally, Jessica, I've struggled with food and I don't think like I was not taught how to eat, and I don't think most women are taught how to eat. I mean, I've struggled with weight, I struggled with bulimia in my early 20s, and I share that because it was such a private thing at that time. No one knew. My family didn't know. I didn't tell anybody. And I kind of figured it out that that's what I had when I started reading books about it.
Mm.
And you're creating a conversation, or hopefully people are coming to you for that conversation. And that's the first step, right? So how are you reaching out to people? How do you start that initial conversation for someone that's
Thank-
overeating or has something going on in their life like that?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that first off. I know that that can be a very vulnerable thing. And congratulations on where you are now because it sounds like you're in a better spot.
Hmm.
Um, and I think our relationship with food, because it's so closely tied to kind of who we are, and so many women, especially, correlate their value with how they appear physically because society places such a heavy value on it, right? Like from a very young age, we don't see models or actresses or anybody else in the news, media, anywhere that's a heavy set person or somebody who is not perfectly thin and for a really long time also blonde and doesn't look like a Barbie doll. And so we kind of learn without it being said that any other kind of shape or image is not okay. And so my goal is to just like create a safe space for people to feel free to tell their story. And so I come in with curiosity and I ask questions. Anytime anybody trusts me enough to talk a little bit about food, I'm bringing curiosity. We're going to, and just kind of gently going from there because I love to listen to these stories. It's been one of the most surprising and wonderful gifts in this business that I've created is getting to hear people's stories and how they feel about food, how they feel about their bodies. And when they trust me with that, I don't take it for granted. I actively listen and I try to hold space for that because so many people, when they're telling me, they're telling it out loud for the first time. They're admitting things that they've never told anybody else because for emotional and binge eaters, so much of it's a secret. They're not letting people know that they struggle with this. They're not talking to their friends or close loved ones about it often. They're just kind of suffering in silence. And so it's really important to me to create that safe space for them to be able to feel comfortable sharing their story openly because I know how hard it is. I've had to do it myself, and so often it is for the first time, and it can be an emotional thing.
That's so sad that people have to keep that pented inside of themselves. Yeah, but I understand. And I'm sure for you too, as a coach, it's tough when you look at the bigger picture, you've had that conversation with the person and they've told you what they're going to do, and then they come back and they did something completely different. And I'm sure that happens more often than not. But how do you navigate that frustration when you want the best for that person, but yet they're not doing what they promised or what they said they would do?
I always, at the beginning of working together, like before we even sign on the dotted line, I always tell people you're going to get out of this program what you put into it. I can't be there to do all the work for you and, in the moment, help you make a decision that feels good. But if you can do that for yourself, you're gonna come out of this with an amazing lasting impact. I haven't had a client yet, and I'm gonna knock on wood, that hasn't eventually gotten there to have those kind of understandings. And my program has so many tools. If you work the tools will work for you, which is kind of the best part. So we are setting goals, but I'm also providing valuable tools that you can use for the rest of your life, or you can just use for right now to kind of help you get started. And then it's kind of choose your own adventure after that. When it does get frustrating for people is if they do start to feed themselves properly and they start gaining weight, which happens because our body is used to that kind of starvation mode. There's so many hashtag 1200 calorie diets out there that when you start to feed yourself properly, your body's not necessarily going to trust you and you might start gaining weight. And that's super normal, but that gets people very scared because they're like, oh, I must be doing something wrong or something bad because I'm gaining weight. Like, actually, your body just needs to trust you again. Because right now, it's like, what are you doing? Is this just for right now? Is this forever? Are you going to feed me well? Like, where am I going to, can I depend on you for nutrition or do I have to hold on to all of it? So I almost always have that moment with clients where they start to get very scared because they're gaining weight from feeding themselves properly. And that's a hard moment to navigate for everyone. But what I really bring it back to is what does the weight say about you? Like you're telling yourself a story about you gaining weight. What's that story and where is it coming from? And why is the number on the scale so important? What does it say about you?
Yeah, that number on that scale, Satan.
We give it a lot of power.
We sure do. We sure
It has
do.
the power to make or break our day. I remember so many years where I stepped on the scale first thing in the morning, and if the number had at least stayed the same or gone down, then it was a good day. But if it went up, man, I was started off in a bad mood.
Well, I kind of have gotten to the point where it's only a disappointment at that very moment. It's like, oh, but it, I don't dwell on it as much as I used to. But anyway, okay. So, what has been the most surprising thing that you've learned about yourself on this journey of being an entrepreneur and a health coach?
Ooh, that's a juicy question.
Mm, loaded.
Uh, it very Entrepreneurship in general is an emotional roller coaster. It is probably one of the hardest things you can do in life, if I'm honest, emotionally without the right kind of support. So, not having the right kind of support in the beginning was like absolute emotional warfare because I didn't know what I was doing. It constantly tests your confidence. And I questioned my ability so many times is like, is this something that I can do? And so I've had to learn how gritty and resilient I can be becoming an entrepreneur, how well resourced I can be, how to ask for help, how to text my business besties and be like, Indeed or LinkedIn is calling my name because this is really hard. And then they can come back with, no, you're freaking amazing. And so doing such incredible, important work. And this is just a moment in time. If it's still there tomorrow, text me again. But this is just a moment in time. So there's this incredible mental resilience that I have had to learn and continue to learn to cultivate in being an entrepreneur. And that very much translates to the work that I'm doing with women because in changing our relationship with food and our mindset and all of the things, there's an emotional resilience in that too, where we have to learn really what we're made of and who we want to be. And I want to be somebody who shows up for this every day and can be consistent, but also on the days where I'm like, oh, I can be compassionate with myself and more gentle. And it doesn't have to be a constant grind. And I don't have to depend on willpower that doesn't really exist, you know, but
Mhm.
I can ask for help and I can move through this in a real way.
The two like mirror each other, our journey with food as well as our journey of being entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Kind of interesting how the two paths cross. Do you mind sharing your journey about your own struggles with food?
I'm happy to. I've struggled with food as long as I can remember. Since I was young, I grew up in a household where my grandma sold Jenny Craig stuff. She was one of the managers, and my mom struggled with her own body image and relationship with food. And you can't not notice those things when you're surrounded by them. And I think they're the people in your life who are supposed to be teaching you about your food, to your point of like we never really learned how to eat, we never really talked about it. So the only real way I learned was through demonstration, through watching other people. And there was very much like a finish your food because they're serving kids in Africa kind of vibe. No real checking in of like, how does that feel? Is your stomach full? Are you feeling satisfied? There wasn't real talk about body image, but I heard other people in my family and in the world being very critical of themselves. So I just soaked all of that up like a sponge and thought that that's how I was supposed to feel and talk about my body. And when I was probably about 9 years old, I started finding comfort in food. One of my best friends was an overeater and at that time. And so I was like, I can have three waffles instead of two. I can put peanut butter on my Eggos. And I just started finding comfort in food. And it gives you that dopamine, right? And so I just really learned through creating my own habits that when I was uncomfortable, when I was having big feelings, I could just turn to food and food would always be there for me. And so that was began a lifelong journey of turning to food for comfort, really emotionally eating, celebrating with food whenever I was feeling hard emotions like sorrow, guilt, shame, sadness, anger, loneliness. Food was right there for me. And So it kind of became a habit, and one that I struggled with because also my body shape changed a lot. You know, we all go through very awkward puberty stages, and I definitely gained gained weight, hadn't grown in the growth depart, like hadn't gotten taller yet, but was a very chunky 8, 9, 10 year old. And my mom was like concerned, possibly a doctor said they were concerned. And so I went to Weight Watchers and learned a bunch of diet things starting right then. And that became another, my value was dependent upon the number on the scale. Here's how to eat, points, calorie counting, all of those things kind of happened at a young age. And so then I started yo-yo dieting until I firmly quit that like 6 years ago.
Good for you. And just the fact that you talked about your grandmother and your mother, and I'm at the age of those ladies probably. And with your clients, are you seeing body image questions that come across that are typical as women get older
Yes.
because of the stereotypes?
Yeah, and hormones are hard. You know, I don't think there's any two women that are exactly the same and need the same thing in terms of food, activity, all the things. There's no cheat code for this. So, what I see when I work with women who are 45, 50 plus, is especially struggle with that body image in perimenopause and menopause, and then beyond that, of really like what trying to feel comfortable in their body. But they're also at a really cool point. I love working with these women where they're like, I just don't want to care anymore. Like, I don't want to
Mm.
care. I don't want to worry about this. Like, I have worried about this for 60 years. I've been hungry for 55 years. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's a really exciting place to be. I love working with those women because they're ready to just like get in there and do the work and not feel this way anymore. There's a kind of liberation that they're just ready for. And it's really exciting for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, well, what an incredible conversation, Jessica. Thank you so much for sharing your personal story and for sharing your wisdom. You've given us so much to think about, especially when it comes to healing our relationship with food and ourselves and embracing our own journey toward food freedom. So, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about the work that you're doing?
Yeah. My website is thisisyourlifecoaching.com. And one of my freebies right now that I have on my website is if you sign up for my newsletter, you get access to my Feel Good About Food Masterclass, which is really just kind of a beginning conversation of the normal auditing of our mindset, our behaviors, and the way that we're thinking about and interacting with food in our lives right now.
That's a really great gift because that way people the listeners are able to know where you're coming from, and like I said, no more guilt, and you're offering real advice. So I would encourage every listener to try the free masterclass that Jessica put together. And then you also have a fun little mantra: make yourself proud.
That is one that I have really clung to over the last several years because I feel like we need to be doing it for ourselves and not for anybody else. As a recovering people pleaser, I have done a lot for everybody else for a very long time. And even when I'm working with clients, I send them a little sticker that says, make yourself proud, because I don't want them to make me proud. Don't do it for me. Don't do it for the people in your life. Do it for you because you deserve that liberated feeling. You deserve that freedom from thinking about and worrying about food or your energy or the money you've spent on another diet program for so long. We've worried about these things. They've taken up our time and our mental energy, and you deserve to be liberated from them. So it's all about making yourself proud by investing in you and really taking the time to figure this problem out.
Jessica, we can find you at thisisyourlifecoaching.com. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and have this conversation with you.
What a great conversation. If you're listening today and you felt like you're stuck in that tug of war with food, I hope this conversation helps you feel a little less alone and a lot more inspired to make peace with your plate. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for being a part of this space. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Keep showing up for yourself, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Time for You for Female Entrepreneurs. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and if you want to support the show, leaving a review goes a long way. A special shout out to our amazing partners and sponsors. Their support allows us to continue bringing you engaging content every week. And with that, a big thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you're ready to supercharge your email marketing and automation game, look no further than my favorite autoresponder, Active Campaign. It's the ultimate all-in-one platform designed to turn your contacts into customers and your customers into loyal advocates. Imagine having a tool that not only understands your customers, but anticipates their needs. That's what Active Campaign does. With its powerful customer experience automation, you can create personalized journeys that nurture leads, drive sales, and build lasting relationships. The biggest reason I chose Active Campaign after trying other autoresponders is because I wanted to make sure my emails were being delivered and not going into spam. I need to know that my emails actually get to the people I'm emailing so that I have good engagement rates, response rates, and click-through rates on every email I create. Then I can have peace of mind that what I send out about my blog posts or upcoming events gets delivered and that people get to read what I write. And since it's just me, using Active Campaign saves me a bunch of time because I've been setting up automations that I can just drag and drop, allowing me to save hours of time. Not only have their pre-built automations and integrations saved me time, I'm able to power a personalized marketing plan throughout the customer's life cycle. In the end, I really want to personalize my message and make sure that each person is getting a unique email tailored to them because I don't want to be sending bulk cookie cutter emails. I want to make sure that my customers and community is getting things that are tailored to them as much as I can. Email marketing doesn't have to be crazy where you're not just pushing information. Active Campaign teaches you how to be pulling information as well. I appreciate the value I've received from Active Campaign when it comes to creating and managing email campaigns. The support through webinars, live chats, and live study halls have been very helpful in maximizing their platform and a great alternative to those other email services I've tried in the past. Active Campaign allows me to build a business without relying on advertising. It has simplified my marketing processes, saving me time, which allows me to focus on what I do best, serving my customers. Whether you're a small business or just starting or a seasoned entrepreneur, Active Campaign scales to meet your needs and grows with you. If you're ready to up your marketing game, go to my website, lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign. That's my partner link, and sign up for a free trial. Experience firsthand the power of Active Campaign and take your marketing to a new level. Don't miss out. Stay ahead and stay automated with Active Campaign. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign for your free trial. Hi friends. Today, let's have a heart-to-heart about something that's been a significant part of my life, skincare. As a busy female entrepreneur, I need a skincare routine that's quick, easy, and super effective. Turning 60 didn't bother me because I've been taking care of my skin every day for 20 plus years. I didn't always, but I'm glad I did start when I did. Let's fast forward to 1 year ago, and let me tell you about a game changer for me. I stumbled across my secret weapon, Droplet. Droplet is not your typical skincare company. It's a revolutionary approach that delivers personalized monthly skincare subscriptions tailored to your specific skin type. The magic lies in the Droplet Micro Infuser, a device that creates microscopic droplets from formulated capsules, expelling them at a high velocity to infuse ultra-concentrated active ingredients deep into your skin. Now, I'm a self-proclaimed skincare junkie. I've tried it all, from serums to spa treatments, and even once selling a natural body care line. So when I heard about Droplet, I knew I had to give it a shot. I can confidently say it's made a remarkable difference in my skin and my routine. The Droplet Skincare Micro Mist Infusing Device is a game changer. It uses a gentle mist to penetrate ingredients 20 times deeper through micro mist technology. It works with formulated capsules similar to an espresso machine, allowing you to infuse the treatments that are right for you into, not just onto, your skin. Here's how Droplet works. Choose your serum, collagen, retinol, glycolic acid, or maybe a lip plumper. Insert the capsule, hold the device to your face, and press the button. A fine mist of the serum is released onto your skin, targeting your face, your neck, chest, anywhere you want to focus on. These misting capsules have transformed my skincare routine. The results are incredible, from increased resilience to fading hyperpigmentation. Why do I love Droplet? It's quick, easy, and the capsules are recyclable. No cleanup, no hassle. And here's the bonus. Droplet's formulas are clinical strength, dermatologist recommended, cruelty-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, soy-free, fragrance-free, and vegan-free. It's a skincare lover's dream. If you're looking to level up your skincare routine and evolve beyond the basics, Droplet is your answer. Plus, they offer free skin consultations with their estheticians to address your skin concerns. Investing in a good skincare routine and self-care is crucial for any woman, especially us busy entrepreneurs. First impressions matter, and you want to put your best face forward. It's time to evolve and embrace the next level of skincare. Head over to the Droplet link on my website today, where you can start your own personalized Droplet routine. Here's to glowing, radiant, and fiercely beautiful you, no matter what age you are. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/droplet.